Hi folks, this is Matt with S&P Outfitters. Today we're going to be taking a look at this UTG folding brace or stock adapter. Allows the stock or brace to fold. It's buffer tube based, but it's not for an AR-15 because there's no pass-through for the buffer system. So it's only for guns that don't utilize a buffer system inside the buffer tube, but do have a buffer tube based stock or brace. So recently we've had a few people that are having difficulty operating these, folding them and unfolding them. And as they come out of the package, they come out of the package like this. They come in the folded position out of the package. They're not too bad to operate from the folded to the unfolded position in your hand. I pushed that way. And now it's locked into the straight position. Now, loose in my hand, not mounted on the gun, it is very difficult to get it back out of this position. It's very tight. So what we're going to show you is we're going to show you a couple tricks after we mount it on the gun to make it a little bit easier to operate. It's very difficult to just do it loose in your hand, so we don't recommend you doing it loose in your hand. We recommend you mounting it on the gun. Stand by. All right, here we go. We've got the folding hinge mounted to a, in this case we just got a chassis here, 1022/22 Charger chassis. We don't have a gun per se, but we've got everything equivalent to a gun. When you run the buffer tube in the adapter, don't forget to loosen this set screw first. You loosen that set screw, run the buffer tube in. You can use a lock nut if you want to, castle nut, but this set screw also locks the buffer tube in place. So we've done all that. The adapter's in the gun, the buffer tube's in the adapter. So next what you want to do is you want to, standing on the, or holding the gun from the left side, you want to put your right thumb right on top of that pivot pin. This is not actually going to move. This is just going to give us some leverage and get our hand in the right place. So you're going to put your left thumb right on top of that pivot pin. You're going to get your hand up as tight up against the folding mechanism as you can. Push down with your thumb, pull up with your hand. See that? It starts to clear that. Granted, it does take a little bit of force. It's not the easiest thing to do in the world, but proper technique helps a lot. So again, stand on the left side of the gun, right thumb, this is your right hand, right thumb on top of this pivot pin just to anchor you and give you some leverage. Holding on with your right hand, and pull straight up. Don't try to rotate the stock until you get it up. It's important to try to pull this straight up. If you're way back here or you're not pulling straight up, you're going to bind the mechanism. You need to be right on top of it like this. All right, that's step 2. We're going to still show you a couple more little tricks that hopefully will make it a little easier. Stand by. All right, the last step we're going to do to make this, try to make this a little bit easier to operate, is we're going to put a little bit of oil on the pivot shaft. We're going to put a tiny bit of grease on that angled flat surface right there. That's where it locks when it's in the folded position. And then you can see right here is where it locks in the straight position. So we're going to put a little grease in there too, where those two pieces go together, kind of like a Lego. Stand by. My little oil bottle is clogged, so we're just going to take this oil bottle, take the lid off here. Just take a little tool and just drop some oil down there. I'm just dropping it down on that pivot pin where the pivot pin and the mechanism meet. And we're going to take some common grease. Any grease would work. I'm just putting a little tiny bit. That's too much. I'll wipe it off here. I'm just getting a tiny bit on that flat surface. It's angled about 45 degrees. Now we're going to do this side. We're going to do this piece right here where it lands in there. You could do both surfaces, it won't hurt. Again, you don't need very much. Sorry about my video and skills here. I'm not a professional videographer. All right. So we just greased that spot right there where those two pieces mate when the hinge is in the open position. We also greased this spot right here. You can see that spot mates when it's in the locked position or folded position, excuse me. Oh, my video skills are not that great. But all right, so now we've lubed the pivot point and greased the locking points. So let's check it out now. Same deal before. Left side of the gun, right hand, left thumb on the pivot point, right hand as tight as you can get it up against the hinge point. Pushing down with your thumb, pulling up with your fingers. It did get quite a bit easier with a little bit of lube, and it got a lot easier by mounting the piece on the gun instead of trying to do it in our hand. Now this hinge is actually one that somebody sent back to us that was having trouble with it, and I will say that it was a little bit stiff to begin with, but it's operating much easier now. So I hope that helps out some of y'all who are having difficulties with the stiff UTG folding stock brace mechanism. Thanks again from S&P Outfitters, and we'll talk to you soon.